Hello peoples, this is his little Cherie, and it's been a million years since I made a video. I've been so busy. And what have I been doing? What haven't I been doing? I've been doing a lot. I've been cooking. Do you know how time consuming cooking is? Like making real food? One of the reasons why we're so addicted to fast food is in part because it's fast, right? And who has time? Who has energy? We don't. Well, cooking real food takes a long time, so I've actually every day been spending quite a bit of time cooking because I'm trying to eat better. So this is a health update video. I have an MS diagnosis. I'm very interested in nutrition and chronic illness, cancer prevention. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I started juicing a few months ago, and that's been good. The only problem is it's time consuming. Well, I've gotten it down to a science now, and it's pretty quick for me to make my one batch of juice. But the other issue is that when you drink a lot, you pee a lot. And I find that when I drink my juice every day, I'm up a lot in the night, running to the bathroom, and I have sleeping issues. So, to sleep or to juice. And so what I find has been happening lately is if I'm too busy, I don't juice that day. Or maybe I juice that day and drink some of it and put the rest in the fridge for the next day. So I'm not consistently juicing anymore, but I do notice that it does help my energy quite a bit. So I'm still drinking my juice. I'm reading quite a bit. There is a lot of research and a lot of information out there about nutritional science and nutrition and chronic illness. And one of the interesting things that you probably have heard is that the Western world has an increase in all kinds of chronic illness that other cultures who do not eat the Western diet and live the Western lifestyle don't have nearly the numbers that we have in the West. So one of the books I read recently was this book, The Blue Zone Solution. And it's a book that was written after the national bestseller, The Blue Zones. And this fellow and a bunch of anthropologists and nutritionists and researchers and scientists examined these pockets of people around the world who live the longest. And they tried to find some commonalities between them. They're diverse cultures. The cultures were Greece, there was another pocket in Japan, Italy, Costa Rica, and interestingly enough, the Seventh-day Adventists in California. And so they examined these people to see what do they do, what don't they do, and their whole lifestyle, their whole culture. And then he wrote a number of books. And this one was really interesting because it focuses on eating, what they eat, and living like the world's healthiest people. So instead of you having to read this book, I'm going to just kind of summarize a bit of it for you. I'll tell you some of their findings about food specifically. And there's more to it than just food. It really is a lifestyle. But some of the things that were very important to these cultures were having a support system, having family. Family was very crucial and important to all of them. Having a purpose. All of these older people had a reason to get up in the morning. They had a purpose. They had they worked hard all their lives physically, and their diets were very simple, very plant-based, whole food from the garden diets. And so here are some of the specific Blue Zones food guidelines for you from the book. Number 1, plant slant. See that 95% of your food comes from a plant or a plant product. Number 2, retreat from meat. Consume meat no more than twice a week. And then it talks about free-range meats. Diminish dairy. Minimize your consumption of cow's milk and dairy products such as cheese, cream, and butter. Number 6, daily dose of beans. Oh, I skipped one. Number 5, occasional egg. Eat no more than 3 eggs per week. Number 6, daily dose of beans. Eat at least a half cup of cooked beans daily. 7, slash sugar. Consume no more than 7 added teaspoons a day. Oh, that seems like a lot to me. Or none. 9, sour on bread. Replace common bread with sourdough or 100% whole wheat bread. 10, go wholly whole. Eat foods that are recognizable for what they are. Whole foods straight from the earth. So there you go. That's some of the takeaways that they discovered in studying these cultures from around the world. I particularly found the Seventh-day Adventists interesting because they're Christians and so am I. And it was interesting to see how part of their faith is they really believe, I think more so than many Christians do, that the body truly is sacred and the health of the body is as important as the health of the soul. And so a big part of their faith is taking care of themselves physically, and that was really interesting to me. All of these cultures had some kind of faith or spirituality going on, and that was part of their lifestyle. So that was very interesting too. Anyway, that's what I've been reading. My next book I've ordered is going to be quite interesting. I watched an interview on the Chris Beat Cancer site. He was interviewing Dr. Christy Funk, and she's a breast surgeon, and she's written a book called Breasts, The Owner's Manual. Every Woman's Guide to Reducing Cancer Risk, Making Treatment Choices, and Optimizing Outcomes. So I'm very interested in cancer prevention. There's cancer in my family everywhere, and I've had a couple cancer scares in my short 52 years of life, and so I'm very interested in doing what I can to prevent cancer. And in listening to all of these doctors, researchers, nutritionists, cancer survivors, I've become convinced that there's more that we can do to prevent cancer than we're being told. I found an interesting statistic because a lot of these people are telling us you have more power than you realize to prevent and to minimize the effects of chronic illness. And however, I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, and so I went to what I felt would be a reputable site, a reputable source for everyone, skeptic included. And so I went to the American Institute for Cancer Research, and I found this very interesting quote. Around 40% of cancer cases, 40%, so that's 40 out of 100, which would be 20 out of 50, right? So 2 out of 5 people with cancer, their cancers could have been prevented by reducing exposure to cancer risk factors, including diet, nutrition, and physical activity. 2 out of 5. So I think the number is much bigger than that, but that is at least something we all have to accept from a very reputable source. So there's a lot that we can do through diet, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle to prevent cancer and a host of other what I call Western chronic illnesses, because other people in the world in less developed countries aren't seeing the numbers, especially the number explosions that we're seeing in the Western world for chronic illnesses. So anyway, that's I take great comfort in knowing that what I do actually does affect my health and does matter, and we inherit genetics, but what we do with those genetics determines our fate in large part. So take courage. There's lots you can do, and I'm feeling well. I just also wanted to mention I'm almost 10 minutes already. Do you guys want to hear about sleep? Because I have sleeping issues. Okay, I'll just say really quickly, because if you're watching this, you're not going to care about another 2 minutes. If you're not going to watch this, you're already gone. So I have sleeping issues, but I've been doing a couple of things recently that I think are really helping. And one of them is to create a bedtime routine. So like everyone in our culture, I was going out to this, that, and the other thing in the evening, but I've stopped doing that, and I've tried to be home in the evenings so that from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock, I have a couple of hours to do my evening bedtime routine, which involves reading, 10-15 minutes on the rebounder. That's for cancer prevention, but more specifically, I do it in the evening for the restless legs syndrome that I sometimes struggle with. My evening routine may include communion with Rob, which is really nice, a hot bath, stretching, and I have found that doing that consistently really works in helping my body figure out, oh, we're going to bed now. And by the time I get to bed at 10 o'clock, I am tired and I'm ready. And I've been sleeping for the most part really well since I've been doing that. Also, one thing that's helped me a lot is setting my alarm. I used to get up, of course, when my kids were home and they needed to get to the school bus or whatever, my alarm would go off every morning at the same time. But since I've had an empty nest, I haven't been doing that. I've just been sleeping until I wake up in the morning. But I found that getting into the habit of setting my alarm for 6 a.m. and getting up every day at that same time really helps me to get tired in the evening and to be ready to go to sleep at 10 o'clock. So those are a couple of suggestions that I found really work for me. And it's things that you hear, but maybe it's hard to do. But when you get to the point where you're really desperate and you really want to sleep, then, well, it's like anything. If you're motivated, you'll do it, right? If you're motivated by pain or by death or by, something that just bugs you to the point where you actually make some changes. So change is good and change is possible. So I think that's all I wanted to say for now, but I will be back with another health update after I get the breast book and start reading it. I'll let you know what she has to say. I did listen to the interview she had with Chris Beat Cancer, and it was very interesting. So I think I'll link that interview below. If anyone is still listening to this video and wants to watch that, feel free to click on it. She really has some great things to say. She's very intelligent and very experienced with breast health. So that's it for now. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye for now.